Hello, good day. So, as promised, we are now on the journalizing. So, let's take a look of the different transactions written in column J. So, it said that on January 10, 2020, Lei established her consulting business investing 100,000 under the name Lei Bites. So, that's why we put Lei Bites Journal or General Journal. So, take note, what does the business receive? Cash. 100,000. In what date? January 10, 2020. So we debit cash because that's what the business received and it's an asset, so therefore it's a debit account. Then to whom does the business now become liable? To the owner, which is our Lei capital. And as we said before on our previous video, that equity and capital are normal balance in credit. So we also have 100,000. Next, we have on January 11, Lei paid 3 months rental to Kurt. So what does the business receive? The right to rent or the right to occupy a place for 3 months. That's why it was prepaid because it's not yet fully consumed on the date it was paid. Okay? And what does the business credit? It's cash because she paid in cash. She's not liable to anyone. That's why we credit because cash now decreases. Okay? So we put the date and then debit prepaid rent 30,000 and then credit cash. Next, on February 10, 2020, Lei bought a computer for 25,000 on account. So what does the business receive? Computer. So we put computer 25,000. And then to whom the business is? Does the business have liability? Yes, to the owner of the computer shop because she didn't pay. Instead, it's an account. That's why now it is accounts payable. Next, we have on February 25, 2020, Lei was engaged to render consulting services. Take note, to render. It's not yet past tense. So, meaning the services was not yet given to the rightful owner. But she already received cash of 50,000. So, what does the business receive? Cash, 50,000. And then, does she has liability? Yes. LCUP could now demand her to render the service or to give back the payment. So that's now unearned revenue, 50,000. Next, on March 10, 2020, Lei rendered services to Google. Take note, it's past tense, rendered services to Google for 25,000 on account. Guys, I forgot to put on account. So, since on account, what does the business receive? The right to what? The right to ask or to collect payments. That's why it is accounts receivable, 25,000. And because it was already service rendered, then it's not the time that we could now account for a credit of service revenue, 25,000. Okay? Next, March 15, Lei bought supplies for cash. So, what is the business receive? Supplies, 5,000. And then, a deduction of its cash because they paid in cash. So, 5,000. Next, on March 30, Lei paid computer purchases on February 10. Take note, if you could see, the accounts payable is now being paid. So, no more liabilities. That's why we debit liability. So, in the future, it would upset. And what does she use for payment? Cash. So, a decrease in cash. Next, on April 10, she paid electricity. So, utilities, because it's an expense, so it's utilities, 15,000 and then credit cash, 15,000. If you would see, the April 11 is just the same as the April 10. Difference is that this one is electric and the other one is water. So, same entry. How about on April 30, she hired Christopher as employee clerk. So, this is what I was telling you, the non-accountable event. Because it's a mere contractual agreement and no consensual rendered or the party to give or take anything yet. Okay, no services and no payment yet. So, it's just a mere contractual agreement. Next, we have now, she paid the salaries. This time, Christopher already rendered and she was incurring liability for a month. So, that's why salaries expense, 20,000, and then cash 20,000. Next, this one. So we have now on June 10, ABS-CBN incurred 100,000 consulting service to lay-by. But take note, she didn't pay in full. Instead, 50,000 down payment and then the remaining on credit. And since it's already incurred, so what does the entity receive? Cash and the right to collect. So cash 50,000 and receivable 50,000. And since it's already rendered, it's now service revenue 100,000. Then the number 13 is just the same as our May 30 transactions. And so the July and then the July 11 is also the same as our April 11 and April 30. And then, lastly, lay-bys withdrew cash from the business. So it's withdrawal, so it's not non-operating expenses. Instead, it should be withdrawal or lay capital, a deduction from lay capital or lay withdrawals. 10,000, so it's a deduction from our capital and then cash 10,000. Okay, good night.